Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Airbnb Nomads podcast. You're joined by me, Alex, and the main man, Mr. Pooh. And on this week's Property Education Masterclass, we're joined by Claire and Terry Payne. Now, Claire is a marketing expert. She's going to be discussing all of the details around how you can build your own personal brand and have a really strong social media presence moving into 2024. And her partner, Terry, is an all-round property tradesman expert. He's going to be talking about all of the do's and don'ts around your own personal property renovation projects. So stay tuned. This is going to be a really exciting episode. Here we go. This week, we've got two fantastic guests, the fabulous duo, Claire and Terry Payne. Claire is a marketing expert, so she's going to give us all the tips and tricks that we need to know how to market our business. And Terry is a all-round trades expert and property refitter, builder, tradesman, kind of everything above. Jack of all trades. So he's going to give us some knowledge around that subject. So really excited to have you guys on. So welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Hi.
Hello, thanks for having us. Really
Thank you for joining
to
us.
be here. And that was a really nice welcome as well.
You're welcome. Well, it's all true. It's all true. Oh. You are a marketing guru, so we hear across the industry.
I told you that. You got the wrong person.
You got a lot to live up to now.
Yeah, thanks. No pressure.
But yeah, we thought it would be good to have you guys on because obviously you bring a lot of stuff to the table. Obviously, this is primarily a property podcast. But Claire, with your marketing expertise, I think we can get a lot of advice from you that obviously our viewers and listeners are going to be able to use across their businesses, whether it's property or just in general, right? I would imagine. So Claire, why don't we start with you? Why don't you tell us a little bit about you? Where it all began, who you are, where you're from, and we'll get stuck into it.
Well, so where it all began. So I've been in marketing for nearly 20 years. So I worked my way up in marketing roles to head of departments. Left that and owned a marketing training company for 4 years, co-owned it, and exited that last year. And now I do marketing consultancy. And Terry and I, we've started our property journey as well. So we've got a serviced accommodation business and a buy-to-let business. And I suppose really where my marketing kind of falls into it is obviously, we've got to make sure that our business gets exposure because, I think it's very easy to get complacent and think, you go off on this journey and everything's going to come flooding to you. But actually, you got to put in the legwork because there are lots of people in this industry doing really great stuff and you've got to really stand out. So I think with marketing, that's kind of one of the things that, has been really sort of helping us with our property journey. Obviously, Terry with what he does on building and refurb side, he obviously looks at things quite objectively and can make really good decisions about the properties that we're looking at. And obviously, the SA property that we've just got up and running needed a lot doing to it before we could get it going. So, he's obviously the brawn and I'm the, I don't want to say brains because he is very pretty though. Sorry.
He is. He's gorgeous.
So what makes you guys want to come into property in the first place? I mean, is that because of Terry's? Is that because of your background that you've been in trades and
No, we've talked about it for quite a number of years about property and different things like that, and we've refurbed a couple of our own properties over the years. And where I do, all my clients have got properties all around the country and different places and stuff like that. It just made us, I don't know, it just push on basically. It's kind of, we spoke probably last 5-6 years about it.
You've always loved property, haven't you? You've always, you love going around people's houses and having a little look around and reconfiguring them and giving them ideas. And, I think there's a genuine passion there. And I think, actually, I would say probably it's more your passion than it was mine to start with. I think the opportunity just came around where we were just kind of reevaluating what we do and what the future looks like. And equally, if you do a good job with it, you have to excuse the dog if you can hear him snoring.
I thought that was Terry for a minute.
He's under my chair. He's under my chair.
Yeah, so I'm really sorry to all the listeners listening. If you hear the snoring, it's our bulldog Khan under the table.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes use that excuse.
I'm boring him usually. That's what it is. So I think what was I saying? I was saying basically, if you do a good job with it, it can be actually a really lucrative business. So many people are successful in it. There's so many opportunities, and obviously, where else is better to invest your money than in property? Because what always happens with properties, we might have the odd dip, we might have the odd issues with, interest rates and whatnot, but that always returns, and it's always very relative. So apart from gold, it's probably a safe bet to put your money into.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite selfishly excited to hear some of your advice and guidance on marketing, Claire, because kind of what you said at the beginning, I didn't really, obviously I know marketing's important as the world progresses with social media and exposure and all this kind of stuff. Obviously, you've got to be living under a rock to not know how important it is to any business. But it wasn't until we kind of started trying to build this business and really leaning heavily into trying to get exposure and trying to get our brand out there and trying to get, followers on social media, for example, that I just realized that it's such a huge subject and topic. And a lot of people say it's kind of like black magic, you don't really know. You just kind of throw stuff out there and just hope that it kind of sticks. So really excited to kind of hear, kind of about that subject. Really, I think a lot of the listeners will be too, because it's everything nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no more yellow pages. What happened to the yellow pages?
There is no more. I know there's no more yellow pages. It's not ideal as well. Yellow pages just be able to stand on and reach things. Now there's no point. The yellow pages. Marketing's always been something. Marketing is always been important. It doesn't matter what your business is. You have to market yourself. It's just the way in which you do it will vary. But one thing is really certain is social media plays a massive part in that. However, what we've got to remember with social media is it's a very fickle place. And so, you don't control that space. You don't control that environment. It's if Facebook was taken away tomorrow or Instagram was taken away tomorrow and you were solely reliant on those channels for your, influence and for your potential leads and your customers or your investors or whoever it is you're trying to target, you lose that overnight. So, social media plays an important part in what you do within your marketing, but it's just one element of what you do in your marketing. And, it can be fantastic at building, profile, but equally, the algorithms shift, and then you can equally lose your reach, you can lose your engagement. And there have been lots of changes that have happened over the last sort of 6-7 years on platforms in terms of how engagement, especially on platforms like Facebook and Instagram, where the organic reach has just really dropped, and it's much harder for you as a business to get that organic reach. They don't want you to get anywhere unless you're putting a bit of spend behind it, or you're really spending time nurturing. And then we've got psychology behind it all, and actually how people speak and how people engage and what they want to see from you. So it's a very multifaceted element of your marketing, and there is a very, as well as there being a very strategic way that you have to approach it, in my view, there are lots of just nuances around how you show up, who you are. The devil is actually in the planning. You can't just go out and chuck stuff out there on a whim. You've got to have a bit of a focus and a bit of a direction. You've got to know what you're doing with it, but you've got to work hard as anything to get those people out of social media, those people that you're engaging with, because social media can be taken away at any point. So you've got to have other channels in place and other ways of filtering people through to actually create a sustainable business where you can actually, successfully convert your customers or your audience, whoever they are.
Claire, so would you say that so right now would digital marketing would be the main focus for for everyone? Would that be the case, or should, because I mean there's so many ways that you can do marketing. You can do guerrilla
Yeah.
marketings, you can do direct to vendors campaigns, you can do letterings, you can do ugly board,
Yeah, you
all
can.
sort of things. And but would you reckon that digital marketing is the best way to reach people in that case?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, we can't ignore the fact that digital marketing is a really important part of marketing, and digital marketing is more than just social media. It's, your email marketing, it's whether or not
Yeah.
you're doing your paid ads, it is all this, influencer marketing. There's a whole bunch of different digital marketing tactics that you can employ within your business. But, when you're starting out in property, sometimes, a lot of the people I come across, whether they're new to property or whether they're just new in business in general, they don't have the confidence, they don't have the skills to actually, they don't like social media, they don't understand what it is to create content and what's important about it. So there are things like networking, getting out, talking to people. Certainly when we started with our service accommodation business, we didn't have our website in place. I knew how to navigate social media, but it was very new for us in that we didn't really have a profile or really any exposure in the property world. So it almost felt a little bit like we were imposters. We weren't bona fide property people at that point. So, you look at my LinkedIn profile, or, you look at my LinkedIn profile was primarily marketing. Terry, you don't really use social media a huge amount, do you?
No, not at all.
And our property platforms, they didn't really have much content on them at all. So one of the things that worked really well for us was a brochure, which I knocked up in Canva, made it look nice, used a lot of stock imagery, didn't even have our own photography at that point. And that's actually really served very well when we're going out speaking to letting agents or when we're speaking to landlords, just as a a professional way of getting the door open. So yes, digital marketing has its place. It's not the be all and end all. There are many ways that you can do marketing without necessarily having that skill to be able to navigate social media. But the thing I would always say is to anybody who doesn't really understand marketing, isn't comfortable, isn't confident with digital marketing, is just focus on one thing. Focus on one thing, get good at that, and then start layering it up.
Because
and
it can
keep
be like,
simple.
it can be super overwhelming when you first started as well. And let's say, for example, some of the stuff is not sustainable. Let's say, for example, we do like a lettering campaigns. Now the stuff that came through the door most of the time would go in the bin. So how much and how long would you have to keep doing the campaigns until you pull
not
that
cheap,
one
is it?
lead? It's not cheap
It's
as
not
well.
cheap.
No, it's
No, it's
expensive.
not. It's not. And that's the one thing I think what often people think of is, I'm going to start putting a couple of bits on social media, or I'm going to send out a mail shot, or I'm going to send something through the post, or I'm going to put an ad in the local paper. They're going to do it once and they're going to think that's going to be enough. And unfortunately, it isn't. You have to repeat this stuff because, it's the same with anything. It doesn't matter whether it's social media. It doesn't matter whether it's somebody popping up in your inbox or whether it's something coming through the door. The likelihood of somebody actually paying attention to that the first time it lands is, very slim.
Yeah.
It takes a while. And also the messaging that you put behind it, because different people resonate differently. Different people will respond to different types of messaging, different hooks, different ways in which you show up. Visual, some people are more visual, some people are more auditory, some people like to touch things and more kinesthetic. So your marketing has to have a balance, and you have to keep doing things consistently and measure what's actually working, lean into it more, but it doesn't mean that's going to work forever.
No.
So, I think this is why I say, it's important that you kind of think about one thing that's going to make, the biggest difference to you to start with, and then start layering it up.
Growing up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I think
So would you say like knowing your audience is, let's say knowing the people that you're going to market to, is that like vitally important at first?
100%. It's rule
because
one.
otherwise they wouldn't read your
marketing,
ads. You wouldn't see the stuff that you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you really do have to get under the skin of who it is you want to target, and also, thinking about what it is that they're struggling with. What are their challenges? What are their problems? What are their pains? What are their aspirations? Their desires? I mean, sometimes it's not even, somebody's struggling or has a pain. Sometimes it's very an ego-driven thing. So, status is as equally as important as somebody who's got something that's keeping them awake at night and a problem that they want to solve. It's more than just knowing where they're hanging out and what they do, and it's about actually their psychographics and how they view the world and all those sorts of things. The more you can understand your ideal customer or whoever it is you're trying to target, the more success you'll have.
Do you think, Claire, that because of the explosion of social media and everybody's an expert, right, on social media, do you think that it's starting to lose its trust? People just kind of look suspiciously at everybody. Nobody really wants to, everybody just kind of thinks everybody's just a little bit
contrived. Fake.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of question marks over, is this content that I'm seeing actually authentic and from the person that's actually posted it? Because we've got a lot of AI out there at the moment, and lots of content that's probably being created by ChatGPT at the moment, and it is very, very difficult for them people to really know what's real. I mean, do you remember when you used to sort of see lots of augmented imagery and Photoshop was first out, and you're like, oh, they've got a filter on, or they've got it's almost like that, but in written form now, and even presentations and stuff like that. So have
you guys seen that there's the one called deep fake, where one of the guys he looked like Tom Cruise, and he did like I don't know what his name is, but he did like a campaign. Oh my goodness, that was brilliant.
It is. I mean, do you know what? It's really clever. I wish I was that clever, but it's things like Fire Festival. I mean, you look at Fire Festival, it's on Netflix, and it was just supposed to be this fantastic, amazing festival. Everybody goes to this island. It was bigged up all over social media and all over the internet. They got all these influencers to post on exactly the same day about Fire Festival, and then it was an absolute load of pants, really. And I think that there is a lot of distrust, coming back to what you're saying, but I think it's really important that you be authentic. One of the beauties of social media or anything that you're doing, and I think which is really important and you can't ignore it, is video content. Actually is super important because it is it's much easier to come across authentically and showcase who you are. People buy from people, that will never change. So I think certainly one of the things that we try to lean into a lot more with our property business is video. Even shoving Terry on, I've got hiccups now, even shoving Terry on video, which you hate, don't you?
I think that's like, one of the...
Just make sure he's not making that snoring sound in the videos. That's not going to go down well.
No. You had to film me go around a house the other day and you hated every second of it, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the most difficult thing, I think, because, it's breaking that comfort zones. And, let's say, for example, if you want to do a live videos, just by holding the phone at you, it has such a... I don't know, it's such an immense impact on you. Like suddenly you were like when I first did it, I could not talk. Even just to do a normal videos, sometimes it took me 100 times just to try to film something.
It's building up slowly, and I think this is the thing. There are lots of ways in which you can actually you don't have to go live with a video. You can pre-record a video. There's a really great app which is called what's the name of it now? Teleprompter. So you can actually write your script that you want to say in a Word document, and then you can upload it to Teleprompter, and it's like like an auto cue, and you can actually do it, and it makes life a lot easier. But I think, you just, if I would always say, if you're just starting out with it and you're not comfortable doing it, pick 3 things that you want to get across in that video. Keep it very simple and just practice. The beauty of doing it not live is that you can do it a few times. And I think a lot of the time people feel uncomfortable because we don't like how we only see 40% of our good stuff. Everybody else sees the great stuff about us. We see 40% of it. So how we sound, how we look, we're so self-critical and judgmental. But you've got to question what's at stake if you don't start doing this stuff. Because if you don't actually start putting yourself out there and talking about what you do and blowing your own trumpet, nobody else is going to do that for you. I think that was one of the biggest things, when we were talking about, how do we bring property into our lives as something we're doing now as a venture, especially for me, because I really rely on my social presence to get marketing clients. That's like my bread and butter business. How do we come out and how do we find these opportunities and how do we find these investors? How do we find these properties? And you have to just put yourself out your comfort zone and just start doing it little by little.
I think it's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because you can use it genuinely to build your brand and build your business and offer that knowledge that you have, if you have the knowledge. But then there's a lot of people out there that can do the same thing that don't have the knowledge to offer, but they're still going to get the same result, because anybody can become an expert online, and say anything or come across as someone. But one of the just a couple of things, going back to what you said about the chat GPT thing in the written form of social media. I was on an Airbnb group the other day browsing through, and someone had asked a question, something like, how can I increase my bookings? And there was about 5 comments, and 3 of them were so long, and it was like, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 5.
So obvious, isn't it?
So obvious. And then at the end of it, it was like, PM me if you want coaching or whatever.
Yeah.
And that just kind of made me laugh.
Getting lazy, that's why.
Yeah.
It does make people lazy.
But it was so obvious. But if you don't know about like this, what to look for. But then the other thing is, I put out a lot of content, right? I do a live every day. And then I do 2 reels every day on Facebook and Instagram for our business. And, the engagement's pretty good. It obviously goes up and down, like you said. But what kind of frustrates me a little bit is, like, we're putting out knowledge. So every day I do a live about service accommodation, and then, 2 reels about service. It's all about service accommodation. And, the views will be pretty good. But then I'll see someone else will post like a picture of a fried breakfast and say, like, what's missing from your plate? And there'll be like 50,000 comments, and it's like, it's hard to sell value. It's hard to give away value. People just like to turn off their brains and just kind of mong out on social media and just scroll. And I don't know how easy it is to get them to buy into real value. Like, the people who get most following and most engagement are people who are just, quite, what's the word when they're causing they're controversial. Controversial, that's it. Yeah. And they'll just say one thing that causes some controversial engagement, and it blows up. But
they're
when you're just trying to,
aren't they? They're playing the game with the algorithms, because what they do is they do that, and then the next one they post, the algorithm kind of boosts them up. So it's not bad to be controversial, actually, sometimes. And I think that the problem is that I think when we think about it, social media is all about, it is about engagement. They want you to keep people on platform. They want people to engage with you. If they think that what you're producing is great content, getting a lot of decent engagement, and they, dial you up on the algorithm stakes. I think, the thing that we've got to remember is that people like to see the upside and the downside. In actual fact, people do like a little bit of drama. So, this is why you get all these spammy headlines that, come across, and then you're like, then they're like something like, oh, don't do this if you don't want to lose £1 million. Thankfully, this has never happened to me, because I know everything about everything. But, it's actually sometimes, I think, the vulnerability of, people's ups and downs in business, actually telling the stories, showing that you've got the scars, coming out the other side. Sometimes they feel a bit more real. And I think people do really crave that level of realness and authenticity. And authenticity is a word I seem to be using a lot lately and talking about a lot. But it is true, the more authentic you can be, some of the most successful people I know that, on social media, they don't put on any airs and graces. They talk about something, you can go a bit too far with it. You can be a bit, expose yourself a bit too much and, be a bit of an oversharer. I think that is a balance you've got to find, because obviously you've got to think about the people that may have never met you before, who come across you for the first time, could be your ideal customer or the person you're wanting to attract, and then they see you posting something which is really uncomfortable or really messy. It can be that thing that puts them off. So you've got to find your balance, but it's one of those things that you've just got to try and test. But what you're doing, Alex, the consistency of it, I would sooner have much fewer followers but know that they're quality followers than worry about whether something's going to go viral. Because that, you're like yesterday's chip paper within no time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we had, there was one particular post that I did. It wasn't a post. It was just a reel that I put out, and and this is what kind of really proves your point, right? Every video I put out is property, and what we think is really good, genuine value that can really help you build your business, and little tips and tricks and advice, and and it does okay. But then I did one video at the airport. It was just a dumb video where I was like, why do people rush to get on a plane? And it just went absolutely ballistic, and it got nearly 1 million views.
It's because people relate to it, and also it's easy.
No idea why.
There's a lot of online fatigue, I think, though. You think with COVID and everything, everybody was forced to go online. Everybody was oversold online courses, because that was the only way we could really do business. So everybody was kind of, we went through this period. I think the stats were something like there was a 54% increase in searches for online educational content during COVID. And, obviously, people get to a point where they're just like, enough. It's just a change curve. So we've got to get a little bit more creative about how we do what we do, and, think about the way in which we offer and we deliver value. Because, yes, there is a call for showcasing your wares and showcasing the level of value that you can give. But sometimes actually saying, look, I'm going to give you the benefit of my experience here, but if you want the value, perhaps you've got to pay for it. Perhaps you've got to see what's behind the curtain and actually invest, because there's a whole, people will expect more people can get for free. The people that pay you the least are the people that want the most. And, I think you've got to really be careful about, how much you do give away for free because of these.
Claire, but would you think, because the reason that, we trying, sometimes we do trying to get things to go viral is to get people into the funnels. And yes, once a lot of people gets into the funnels, and it would just kind of trickle down until it kind of spits out the, I would say like a goal, group of people that's where, the things start to get more interesting, because you don't want to, let's say, for example, you don't want to have like 1 million people to come into the funnel and 1 million people to come out, because in that case, you're not screening anybody.
No.
And then you can't close any sales.
No, it's too much.
Yeah.
No, and you're right. I think when you're thinking about your marketing funnel, you've got to think about those entry points. Where are those people coming in? How are they coming to you? What is it that's actually brought them to you in the first place? The crux of it is, though, what is that next logical step that somebody's going to take with you? How do you tip them on to going into that journey with you? But no, I think, we've really talked about social media quite a lot, but there is a lot to how you fill your funnel, how you get people to trip into it, and actually how you get them to, go down that next logical step with you and take that next logical step on the journey.
Do you think, Claire, that you can do you think that you can do it alone as someone who, because, you know, when me and Pooh were starting out, I said, look, why don't we get someone in to take over the social, like to take care of the socials? And we decided against it, you know, because it was a new business. And as with any business, right, cost is an issue. You want to keep your outgoings down. So I kind of took it over, and I do what I can, you know, and I do my Facebook and Instagram. I try and get a bit out on TikTok as consistently as I can. But yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts on, is it the right thing to do if you don't have all of that knowledge? Because there's, like I said at the beginning, there's so much to it, right?
Yeah.
When you post, where you post, what you're posting, how does it look? Are we using captions? Are we using third-party software? You know, and it can turn into a full-time job. And
it can easily.
It takes up so much time to schedule your posts and everything.
Your gated content, your lead magnets, setting out your landing pages.
Exactly. And it's not just posting stuff. I post all this stuff, and then I have to think, right, now I've scheduled all that. Now I've got to go in and go across all the platforms and comment on stuff, and you know, to get other people to comment and follow people so they'll follow. Yeah. It's like, you know, so
it is a lot. And I think, you know, the problem is, and you made a really valid point as well, you know, it's not just all about what we share, it's about actually how we engage and how we do that outreach activity. You know, we've got to actually physically get out there, and reciprocity is a really important thing when it comes to your social media activity. This is why, you know, unfortunately, sometimes when you're starting out in business, there's a couple of things. Obviously, resources limiting time and money. You know, you're trying to find your feet as a new business owner. You know, you need to market your business, but you don't have the funds to employ someone, so you've got to try and learn it yourself. And I think the beauty of actually being able to get online is there is so much that you can learn by just going through, watching YouTube videos, watching videos on TikTok. You can cobble together the knowledge to serve you in the short term. And it depends on your confidence levels as well, because everybody is very different. Sometimes people will think, oh, I just post, I'm quite happy doing it. You know, it's absolutely fine. It's posting if they're directionless and they don't actually know what that next step is. If all they're doing is chucking stuff out there and they're not doing anything else, all they're creating is awareness. All they're driving is a little bit of exposure, but they're not actually generating that interest and desire in what it is they're actually selling or what it is they're actually trying to achieve. So I think, you know, it's horses for courses in a lot of respects, but I certainly would say when you get to a point and you can afford it, or you've got the headspace to actually get some extra knowledge from somebody who can actually help you and mentor you. You know, I used to teach marketing to business owners, so I know the value in actually learning how to do marketing and how to establish a marketing system. It's so much more beneficial to a business when you know how your marketing system needs to hang together. But as I said at the very beginning, if you can take one thing, one platform, wherever your ideal audience is hanging out, and be really consistent with what you're sharing, even if it's just 3 times a week. You're posting 3 times a week, but you're making sure that each day you're going out and you're commenting. You make sure that you are at least trying to build email data. You know, getting ways that you can get people out of the social media conversation and into actually having more meaningful conversations with them outside of that environment. But essentially, you know, businesses need marketing, hands down. You have to do it. Some people rely on it just through, you know, networking and word of mouth, but it's not sustainable. You won't grow a business if you're just relying on word of mouth.
Claire, and I think this is, you know, some of the things that are quite misleading in when it comes to service accommodations, you know, strategies, because a lot of people were relying too much on the online travel agencies when it comes to, you know, listing your properties, to get it out to the market. And I totally get it that, you know, the online travel agencies, they have so much reach. Their marketing budget is on another universe levels, you know. So it's in some way it's great, but what would you do to be able to bring more clients in-house directly? What are the things that would, you know, what would be like, I don't know, 3 things that you would do? Or
So, first of all, I would make sure that I maximize every opportunity that I have from anybody who comes through from one of those booking sites. So, yes, it's difficult to use those platforms to, say, oh, you'll get 10% off next time if you book directly with me. But certainly, as soon as somebody enters your property, in my view, they're fair game. So you've got to create an enticing way. You've got to, first of all, lead with great experience. Great, make them feel really special so that they want to come directly to you. And your customer service levels are as important a marketing tool as anything else. But capturing them, getting their email address, getting a way for them to directly book with you is key. So you can have physical items there. You can give them ways in which they can, QR codes are great. Fill out our survey, tell us how you felt, directly rather than going through the booking sites. So that's the first thing is, actually make sure that you can capture a way in which you can directly market to them. The other thing is, create exposure, talk about your business, showcase your properties, especially with serviced accommodation. We've been through this journey where we've actually shown people what we've been doing from start to finish so that people can see the transformation, because equally, there are service accommodation properties out there that haven't necessarily always been the best for people. Some people have had bad experiences before. Trust is really important when somebody's coming to stay with you. So you can show that journey. And I think social media plays a massive role within that. I think the other way is actually thinking about how you can maybe use referrals and things like that, so actually how you can leverage your
really
networks, how you can leverage other people, actually creative ways in which you can go out and find guests. So if you're in an area where you're targeting contractors, then go out to the local businesses, put your brochure together, send it to them in the post, follow it up. Did you get that? What's your current situation? Have conversations. Don't be afraid to actually go out, and you're providing a service. And I think this is one of the things that a lot of SA people will have come across when you're trying to build relationships with letting agents, because letting agents notoriously do not want to always deal with us, do they? They don't necessarily understand the value. I mean, I short of F off and die a couple of times.
Only a couple?
Only a couple. It is really, and I felt it myself, and I know other people, we've had conversations about it, haven't we, Terry, where it's just like, oh God, I'm going in there, and they're going to just tell me to get lost. But actually what you've got to remember is we're offering a service. We're offering a really valuable value for money service, because you think there's a recent study done, I think, where the average hotel price per night is 100 quid across the country. So when you think about how many people can come and stay in a service accommodation property, how much money you're saving, how much more comfortable it is, all of the benefits, I think we as service accommodation people have to get into our heads that actually we are doing a fantastic service for people. And if other people can't see that, then that's down to them. But by going and having conversations, don't think of it as sales where you're going to get told no. Think of it as you're serving somebody, you're giving them the benefit of the value that you can offer. And I think that will naturally help build your confidence when you're having those conversations. And it only takes a couple of wins for you to actually start thinking, well, actually, I can do more of this. So for me, I think those are some of the key things that you should be doing. But you do have to do the legwork. You can't sit. It's not the field of dreams. It's not, you've got to build it and they will come. Yeah. You've got to get out.
It has to be quite organic as well, that we build our client list. We do a lot of email marketing campaigns, and we do, I think one of the things that we like a lot is referrals. Like you said, that, we actually, let's say, for example, we've got one of the guys who stayed with us before, and then suddenly, the other people, he recommended to them. And obviously we just pay them, I don't know, £150, £200. Yeah. But for the chunk that we got from that booking is massive. So
absolutely. It's worth
just word of mouth. So
it is. In any business, you have got to speculate to accumulate. You have got to, put a bit of investment into it wherever you feel that investment needs to be, whether that's time, a bit of money, if you don't have the money, certainly it can become an expensive thing. So find other people that you can, work with, that you can leverage, that you can, create powerful relationships with. This is a very, very people orientated industry.
Yeah.
So, you've got to get good with people. You've got to get good at talking to people. And I think, that would be something that would really benefit anybody. Just, getting out there, just getting out. You never grow inside your comfort zone, by the way. You've got to get out of your comfort zone for it to feel comfortable, So it's all of those things. It's a growth journey. We're all on it.
Yeah.
I think with the agents, and I'm sure you guys are finding out, it's a big misconception that these agents are the experts, right? A lot of them are school leavers. It's a temporary job or whatever. They know nothing about property. And, we have this conversation a lot, and, working with some of our mentees, teaching them, ways of speaking to agents and trying to get them to change their mindset and start to realize that with the knowledge that they now have, they know more than the agents do. So part of the problem is when you're talking to agents is that they just, because they don't have the same level of knowledge as you do, they don't understand what it is that you're selling. So you've got to be really, really clear with what it is that you're selling. Because I think when you're nervous and you go in there and you just kind of vomit all this information and it all comes out at a million miles an hour, and a confused mind says no, right? So that's why I think a lot of people don't have much luck. And something what I always makes me realize this is whenever you're speaking to agents about things like lease options, every agent says, "Oh, I've never heard about this. How does this work? This is interesting." And that's when you're like, wow, I know a lot more than these agents.
Yeah.
So, I think if you can change your mindset into thinking like that, as well as the fact that, yes, we're providing this fantastic opportunity for these landlords, it can help you kind of improve your win rate.
I think, I think it's the experience that you get by doing some of this. I think you do have to go through a little bit of that uncomfortableness
to
actually feel it. And I think it's also about surrounding yourself with people who understand what you're trying to achieve and where you are, because I'm going to hand this one over, this bit over to Terry, but certainly when we joined our mastermind group for property, you'd never done anything like that before, had you?
No.
And it was a real uncomfortable situation initially. You thought it was going to be, but I mean, I don't know if you want to share the value of actually being around people who are on that same journey and are going through some of the same things.
Terry, so what were the things that you felt uncomfortable with?
Well, just being in quite big group, not so much, big groups of people that I didn't know, talking about their different ways they've done things and stuff like that. And probably the first time I'd done it, it was completely out of my comfort zone. And after about, 3 or 4 hours in, I then started to get involved a little bit. And the more I felt like I got involved, the more easy it became. And then probably now, 7 months in, I can't wait till we go for the next month and stuff like that now. So
I think it's a case of, you kind of start to realise as well, the more you talk to people, that they actually, you have this expectation that everybody's got their shit together and they know what's going on. But actually you realise that everybody's kind of got the same kind of concerns as you, or there's gaps in their knowledge. You always think you're going to be the one who's got nothing valuable to contribute. But actually I've sat there a few times with Terry and I'm like, I didn't know that, Terry. And he's like, well, yeah, because they said that last time. I was too busy talking probably. But he's like, yeah, well, they said that last time. So
it's impossible to kind of digest everything, because there's so much going on. I think when you're in the right room, with the same crowd, going in the same directions, there's just so much knowledge going in, so much input. So brilliant.
It's great with what Alex said about it is about getting your mindset right. I think, what you guys do is brilliant, because you're helping people not only understand the nuances of their business and property, but you're helping with their mindset as well. And I think that's the beauty of mentorship and learning. And, if we all had it all figured out, we'd all be minted, wouldn't we? We've just got to, learn what you can and do bit by bit. I think sometimes people compare themselves too much to other people.
It's the biggest problem I think there is today is that we pedestalize everybody else and we beat ourselves up. And we think everyone's, like you said, has got their shit together. Everyone's making a ton of money, right? Because it's social media. It all comes back to that. And everyone's selling the good life, and the big bookings and the fast cars. Then they shut off the computer and go.
They're not talking about all that money that they put down the drain on Facebook ads because they had no clue what they were doing.
100%. Yeah. And
I've done that. I've gone, I'm gonna put a £5 into Facebook ads, and you buy, and then you sit there, you're waiting for all the results, and nothing's happening.
I know, it's so true, but it is all a learning curve, and I think marketing is something I'm really passionate about, and I think you don't have to know it all inside and out. You just have to know a little bit and gradually build on it, and ask people what's worked for them. If something's working for someone else, give it a try. Marketing's all about evaluation. You've got to look at it, see if it's working, but never ever rest on your laurels and assume that what you're doing today is going to work tomorrow because
100%.
We don't, especially with social media, we don't control that space. And the OTAs sites, we don't control those either. If they come back tomorrow and say they're going to put their prices up by 5%, how much cash flow damage does that cause? How much does that impact the business? So, the way forward is get people directly, have conversations, get repeat bookings, deal with people as directly as you can, and automate as much of it as you possibly can to save your time.
Fantastic.
That's
Thank you.
Good advice.
Tips. Thank you.
So, why don't we just spend just a few minutes talking about this property that you've taken on an SA unit, right? And where's that located?
That's in Winchester.
Winchester. My geography is awful. Tell me exactly where that is.
I'm not much better. I'll let you explain where Winchester
just above
is.
Southampton, basically.
Southampton. And that's in the
Hampshire.
north near Scotland, right? I'm joking.
Hampshire, yeah.
Where are you guys based?
City of Winchester.
Yeah. Where are you guys based?
We're Southampton.
In Southampton. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're Southampton.
So you've just opened, and how's that going? Has that been live for a little bit or a while? Or?
We had our first guests. So we're Monday, so we had our first guests Friday in this property.
Wow!
So it was a 6-week turnaround, wasn't it?
Yeah.
From the date we got the keys, which was the 13th of October.
And we finished it Friday, pretty much.
Yeah, I was running in there with a microwave and trying to fix a boiler that decided to pack up about an hour and a half before the guests arrived. So all those things that happen. But got a 5-star review out of that.
Awesome.
So really.
And is that an apartment or a flat or a house or?
No, it's an 18th century grade 2 listed building with a spiral staircase in the middle. So we were really lucky with it, but it's been a ball ache, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's lovely. It's beautiful, but it was a real
all character properties aren't they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It belonged to the brewery, didn't it?
It did. It belonged to the brewery many years ago.
Right.
So it's the.
So are you targeting leisure the whole time, or?
Yeah, so it's definitely more of a people visiting Winchester
experience,
property. Yeah, there's a lot of people that come over from America and China and London. They visit the area, Australia, because it's a bit like Cambridge. It's got a lot of heritage. So obviously King Arthur and the cathedral where they filmed part of the Da Vinci Code, and it's just and it's also a really good location to go down to sort of Southampton. We've got lovely New Forest not far from where we are, and so people kind of come and use it as a base. So we've got that one up and running. But it's early days. It's early days, isn't it? You had a few experiences, didn't you, when we were decorating it and getting it all ready? Like, what happened to the ceiling again?
Well, it seemed like some evenings I was getting. I thought I'll do half hour more, and then I'll roll a one bit of ceiling, and then the ceiling would decide to just pack up and come down, basically. Where it was
God.
It was just so old, some of it, and
you've actually added so much value to the property.
It does look stunning now. It does look great.
Yeah, it's shameless plug, but it's the old brewery boardroom in Winchester.
Yeah, absolutely. Get that plug in.
Did you guys have to put a lot of investment into this one? Or?
More than we
expected. Yeah. I would say I don't mind to share. It was probably. Do you mind if I share the amount? It was probably.
You don't have to say that.
No, we don't have to. I don't know for the listeners, but it was. But it was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was more than we wanted to spend.
Yep.
But I think
and the rates that you can achieve. Is that something that you can pull it back within a couple of months? Let's say 6 to 7, 8 months.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we achieve, I think if we achieve occupancy rates of at least 50%, then we should be all right within about 8 months with it.
Right, fantastic.
But we did spend a lot of time. How we furnished it, we knew we were going to go over with our budget. There are so many amazing things that you can pick up out there that obviously don't compromise on your beds or your bedding or anything like that, but we got a few really nice items, really nice bargains, and you start off with this vision. I think this is the beauty of SA for anybody who's thinking about it, is it gives you that scope to be really creative. Because you are providing a guest experience, you're providing a service. And so if you come across a little gem like we have, and you can work with it to create something that's a bit different, it really is a nice, if we didn't have all the time pressures and other day jobs, I think it wouldn't have been so stressful. It would have been more of a labour of love. But we got so far into it, like we can't stop now.
No,
just got to keep
think
going.
where we're both hands on as well, it kind of saved us. Like if we had to get tradespeople in, it would have been
even longer.
Probably we wouldn't have taken it on. I don't think.
Yeah. Just because the costs would have spiraled.
Yeah.
I think you guys are amazing because you complement each other so well in different areas.
Thanks,
it's really good. So
thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah, amazing. So.
But it's been good. We're still very early days with it, but so far so good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love to see some pictures. Is there any way we can see some pictures?
Yes. So if you pop over to our Facebook page or to our Instagram and just look for XPlus Stays, that's XPlus Stays, you'll be able to have a look at the photos that we've been putting up there. And it's listed on Airbnb. We still haven't got it on bookings.com yet, actually, which we need to. But our website is under development at the moment. So
okay. I think we need your address so we can put it all in the show notes so everyone can find you. So
brilliant. We'll send that to you. Yeah. But I mean, even as a marketer, our website's not up and running yet. So, you just do what you got to do.
So you're also doing that as well, Claire. You're doing the marketing consultancy as well as the service accommodation stuff. So you're still active in that.
Yeah. So still marketing consulting is, a big part of my life, and that's something that I do. I don't see that really changing anytime soon. I think for us, to have Terry working on our properties full time would be the ultimate objective.
Yeah.
But
so what's your goals? I mean, what's your vision? What are you trying to get to? And
oh God, this is if you find out if we're aligned or not, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I'll let you go first. And I'll say I agree.
Yeah. No, our goal is to mine is within probably 6 months, drop a day doing house refurbs full time at the minute, so I can spend a bit more time on our own stuff. And eventually I definitely do want to do my stuff full time.
Yeah.
Find more, like this one, I was like doing a full day's work, then having to go there in the evening till 10 o'clock every weekend, that type of thing. Whereas if I could do that as my day job for 2 or 3 days a week.
Yeah.
That way would.
Yeah.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Property full time for you, definitely. For me, I have aspirations to blend property and marketing in the long term. So whether that's, I've got a few things on my mind for next year that I'd like to build into it. I mean, the educational side of marketing and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I think for us equally, if you do property right, it can be very lucrative. We want to provide a legacy for our daughter. We want, a future that's financially really stable, secure. We've got another property strategy that we're looking at which we're doing as well at the moment. So, we're fortunate there. Just really leaning into the marketing to try and bring some more of that to fruition. Yeah, definitely. But I think you do get a bit of a bug for it, don't you? I mean, you guys know you're in property. Once you start moving with it, and you kind of see, there's so many things when you get into property that you don't realise. So many creative ways of being involved in the property world. And that really excites me. And I think, Terry's just so good with building. So it would be stupid to not use his skills and talents in that area.
I have found out one big thing, I think, in property, like everybody is willing to share their knowledge. Whereas I think other different trades and professions, people don't always share their knowledge. But I think in property,
it's true.
There's always someone to ask, and someone's always got a good answer.
Yeah.
Well, that's our experience. I'm glad you're concurring with that.
That's what I've come to see.
I find that all my questions, I just go to Pooh and he answers them all. It's great.
That's it.
He didn't realize I used ChatGPT.
I wonder why it was always
hold on, Alex. One sec. Number one, you have to do this.
No, I know.
Love it. Love it.
So, guys, listen, as we get close to the golden hour, it's about this time of the podcast where I like to ask a little bit of a personal question, if you don't mind. Have I got your permission?
Oh, God.
Go for it.
So I'm a big advocate. Well, I think we both are. Mental health these days, right? Everybody's got their demons and their struggles and their challenges, cost of living, mortgages, stress levels through the roof. So I'm all about speaking about it, being open, being honest, being vulnerable. I am. Pooh is. I think it's great for the world to just discuss this stuff. So I like to ask all of our guests, probably individually and collectively, are you happy?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
Are you happy in where you are, how you're feeling, where you're going? How do you feel in general?
I'll go first.
You go first.
This year's had ups and downs, to be honest. A few months ago, maybe not so happy for different reasons. But where we're heading and where we're going now, then yes, I'll say I'm happy.
Yeah.
No. You have to say you're happy now.
No. I would say no. Not always, and that's the truth of it. And I don't think anybody is. Burnout is a real thing, and when you're trying to build a business and you've got big aspirations and things don't go according to plan, or you're tired, or you're worried, or you're stressed, or you've got general life pressures, it is really difficult, I think, to be happy all the time.
Yeah.
Today, much happier than I probably was on Thursday. So am I happy? It depends what day you ask me. Am I grateful? 100%. 100% grateful that I get these opportunities, that I have the life I have, but it's come at sacrifice and I've worked bloody hard for it.
Yeah.
So, I don't take anything for granted. I am very happy with the elements of my life, but would I say I'm 100% where I want it to be, and I can say I'm 100% content and happy? No, is the honest answer.
Yeah.
But I will be.
Yeah,
It'll come.
Not right now.
You're on the right path for it. That's
Appreciate the honesty. I think it's so important, kind of going back to what we was talking about earlier. honestly looks all the time like the people that you follow or that you look up to or pedestalize have got it all wrapped up. And
It's not real
we just
life.
know it's not the case.
not real life.
Everybody has got one face on social media, in networking events, in courses, in trainings, and then they get in the car, they close the door, they get home, they're in front of people that they trust and can be completely honest and vulnerable with, and it's a different person.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully not all the time, but a lot of the time. So it's just
Yeah.
so important not to sit there and think, shit, I'm alone, struggling, it's not working, I'm not this, I'm not that. You know, it's not the case. So it's good to know that everybody's kind of got their challenges.
Absolutely. We're all human. And if we don't have emotions and feelings, we're psychopaths. So, you know, ultimately, you know, we all have to take what you see as a pinch of salt, because people aren't going to share with you the true crap side of what's going on. So, you know,
I think the only real happy one is your bulldog, who's snoozing and slobbering away under the table.
Oh God, I don't want to listen to this back.
I want to be a dog. You know, I was at my house last night, where my sister lives, and she's got this sausage dog, which is basically like just runs the house, and she's got this like beautiful long sofa, with all the throw pillows and all the rest of it. And I'm sitting in this little single chair and I'm looking at the dog, and he's literally laid out on a throw across the whole sofa on his side, snoring with his tongue hanging out. And I just thought, I want to be a dog.
Yeah.
I would come back as a dog. Definitely. Yeah.
A well-loved dog.
Especially him. He it's better he's asleep snoring than chewing up stuff, because that's usual. That's usual stuff.
Well, guys, it's been an incredible podcast. So much knowledge and information and advice from both of you guys. So yeah, thanks so much for coming on. Claire and Terry Payne. We'll put all your information in the show notes of where everybody can find you and see the beautiful properties that you're creating. And yeah, for your marketing consultancy as well. You know, I'm happy that we've now got a best friend who's like a marketing expert, because we can call Claire every day when we need it. So yeah, awesome. Thanks so much for coming on, and we'll see you all next week for the next Airbnb Nomads podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Bye now.
Bye.